Okay guys, welcome to my how to hold video. In this video we'll be looking at train. We'll be covering the A main or T main entrance of train and the A bomb site itself. This is the main entrance for the terrorists who take the A bomb site and one of the ones that need to be guarded the most. Let's have a look at timings, angles, positions, grenade usage, pushing, and then finally we'll be covering terrorist afterplant positions as well. But first let's define which area of the map we're going to be looking at. So we'll be looking at the middle part of the map, so the A bomb site mostly, and we'll be looking at attacks from A main only. So this is this top left hand side of the map. But mainly we'll be focusing on this first train and just outside of it, and attacks from A main as well. We will not be covering any attacks from either Pop Dog, Ivy, Second Ivy, or CT-Con, as these are done in other videos. So let's have a look at timings. We're going to counter-terrorist timings, and the meeting angle. So for a counter-terrorist to get out into CT-Con, so he can actually spot just inside of A main, it takes him 7 seconds for a good spawn. For a bad spawn, it might take him a little bit longer. For a terrorist to do the same for a good spawn, it takes him 8 seconds. So the counter-terrorist can watch A main first, but not by much, and it is dependent on spawn. The meeting angle will then be across the A bomb site, not the most common, but common for AWPers. So we'll look at angles now. Aggressive and defensive ones. So you can hold across of A main if you're holding inside, and angles into A main, so from CT-Con, the entrance, or the outside part of A main, across the first train, and on the other side of the first train. You do give up a lot of room when you hold that angle. And there's also angles just across the site in general. Again, you're giving up a lot of space. So have a look at aggressive positions, defensive positions, one kill, and AWPing positions. So you can hold inside of A main, very aggressive, but can be very useful. Behind this first train here, or on top of the first train, depending on how you want to hold it, depending on how exposed. Behind the electrical box. Outside CT-Con or inside CT-Con, on top of the bomb train, behind the second train, and behind the Ivy train, or near Hell, and then of course Heaven as well. So this is inside, very aggressive position, one killish. First train, common position, you can stop them getting out. On top of here, quite exposed to ladder room or Pop Dog. This is a very aggressive position, you can hold both Pop Dog, you can isolate them independently. Outside CT-Con or CT-Con here, kind of give up a bit of room. On top of the train, quite defensive, you give up the whole of A main. Behind the second train here, can be pretty decent. And Ivy, usually if you're going to help out Ivy as well, you hold from back here. And Heaven is quite a good spot as well. AWPing positions, you can AWP from behind this first train, it's quite aggressive, wouldn't recommend it. CT-Con, probably the most common AWPing position. And then Hell or Ivy, you can AWP from as well, quite common, mostly if you're helping out Ivy. And Heaven, again, is quite a good position, but you can be a bit exposed. Let's have a look at grenades. Smokes, flashes, and incendiary grenades. So if you're holding here, you can actually just smoke them out of A main. It makes this spot a lot easier to hold, and it's quite an easy smoke to do. There are a few ways of doing this smoke, and it does delay them. So you can either do a smoke into there, or you can smoke out here. Previous one I'd recommend more. This one here is just if you want to smoke off this position instead. If you're holding behind the first train, you can just use the wall here to throw off smoke. Blocks it off. Just be wary they can actually get out on the right hand side if you're only watching the left hand side, or your right left depending on how you're going to view it. If you don't really care about being exposed, you can throw one in, just normally. Try to get it back enough that they can't get to the ladder in the smoke, but not back too far that the sides are exposed. If you want to be in between, you can just throw it on top of the ladder. So this is about as far back as you want it. Even that might be a little too far back because that left hand side is exposed. If you're on top of the train, you might want to just throw it even further back so you can actually block off this entrance. So it's much easier to hold if you're blocking off this entrance than if you're blocking off the rest. Because now they don't have access to the ladder, they don't have access to A main in general. The electrical box here, smoke, again, you want to get it as far in as you can. This one here is a little bit more exposed on the right hand side. Any more exposed and you're going to have a problem, but you can watch that. If you don't want to be exposed, you can do two-handed throw. Just practice this one, as you've got to get it catching on the train railing. And it's quite a good smoke, but be wary of that right-hand side rush out they can do. So if you can get someone watching from Ivy, that'd be great. Around CTCon area, this smoke here, this does let them get on the ladder, but it should persuade them not to actually push out, except getting on top of the train, and you can just kind of get someone to watch that. You can just do a normal throw in. This is a lot better. They can't get to the ladder with this smoke, but you are exposed while you throw it. If you're on top of the bomb train, smokes can come in handy. This smoke's actually not quite as useful unless you've got someone else watching, because you can't actually watch this while on the bomb train, and once they're out, it's a bit harder to utilize smokes very easily. So you probably only want to do bomb train if you're being pushed back already. So behind this orange train, or the second train, smokes work just fine, but be wary of that right hand side. Behind the Ivy train, or the green train, again try to get them as far in as you can, and again you've got to watch both left and right hand side. So this smoke works well if you know there's someone in A main. If there's not someone in A main, maybe you don't want to smoke it. Flashes, this one works quite nicely. It's a bit of a pop flash, but I prefer this one. It bounces off the wall and goes a little bit further in, and it flashes people further back. You can also use these boxes here to do a flash, depending on how far you want it to go backwards. This gets it around the corner, but it's not a pop flash for anybody further back. If you're behind the first train, you can just land flashes on top of the train. Don't get them too high, don't get them too low, otherwise they won't flash in the entirety of A main. You can do an underhand throw across the train if they're looking that way. You could do it the other way, but it doesn't work quite as well. Again, if you can be on the ladder, you can do a two-handed throw, and this will pop right on top of the ladder. This is good if they're pushed up close. If you're on top of the train, you can just bounce one off the train. And again, this works quite well for most of A main. From the electrical box, you can do a two-handed one, and it just pops right at the corner here. CTCon area, just do a running one. Make sure you get this one quite accurately. This can actually bounce off the top, that's fine. It'll flash at most of it. If you're a bit worried about your accuracy, you can just do a standing throw here, and this will flash most of A main as well. On top of the bomb train, you can help out your teammates by just throwing a flash in. Again, you've got to make sure you get the height right. If the height's wrong, it just won't be as effective. And you can do this further to the right as well. And this one here will be less of a pop flash, but a bit more accurate. Behind the second train, or the orange train, flash over the top, works a treat. You can also do one to the side of the blue train, and again this will flash people looking down Ivy. It's good for if you think there's an AWP going to be watching that angle. And you can do one on the other side of the blue train if you think they're going to be watching that side. So depending on where you want to think they're going to watch, throw that flash in that direction. Ivy train or green train, over the top works well. So there's three spots you can flash. You can go over and the either side. So this is this side. So just do which one you prefer, where your teammates aren't holding maybe, or where you think they're, scoping up with AWPs or whatnot. So again, this side here. If you're in heaven, flashes, just throw flashes out. Again, be wary of the height. So if any further back, they won't get flashed with that one. This one here works a little bit better if they're further back, but this one only works if they're on the left-hand side of the A main. Incendiary grenades, they're going to be kind of used in the same spot smokes are. You've actually got to be worried less about these, only about the angles. So this one here is quite nice. This one here you get further back, so they actually can't get into A main. That works quite well. On top of the bomb train, same spot as you with the smokes, and it stops them getting into A main. So these are only good if they're not in A main already. From the electrical box, just one straight in there. CTCon, throw it in quite nicely. And you do have to be worried about the angles they can see, but this will just stop them pushing. And they won't even be able to get up to the ladder for the train. So, I find Molotovs or Incendiaries more effective here than smokes. You can just throw them above the trains. Sometimes they'll pop in mid-air like this one, but they'll be close enough to the ground. They will spread across the ground. Don't worry too much about that. From Ivy, you do actually have to run a little bit and throw, otherwise they won't reach it quite far. And throw this as much as you can to cover the whole of the exit. If If you're only covering a little bit of the exit, it's a bit of a problem like this one, but it's still effective. Let's have a look at pushing. We're going to benefits and detriments of pushing. So, there's two ways you can push. You can push out of A main to Ivy. This can be effective. It forces people down Ivy and kind of splits their forces. But it leaves A exposed from Pop Dog and from Ivy, so you're not really helping out Ivy very well. You can push into the Brown or the White Horse. This actually works a lot more effectively if you think they're going to come. But again, they can come out Pop Dog. So pushing into A main is good. Pushing out of A main is probably not so good. Let's have a look at Terra Star Plot positions. Aggressive ones and defensive ones. So we'll start with the defensive ones here, or kind of aggressive. So Heaven, or underneath Heaven, works alright. Behind the green train can be effective, but you do give up the whole right hand side. Behind the orange train, so you can kind of go where you want to. Make sure you got cover. Down here is decent, you can pop across and watch the bomb from there. Behind the orange train you can watch CT if you've got Pop Dog covered. The electrical box here works alright. Again, Pop Dog covered, and you can actually even hold from here, which is quite defensible, quite good. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.